First off is, I should say, written by my favorite playwright in the world. And I do love a lot of playwrights, but I love this playwright truly the most. The Spiritualist, written by Robert Ford. This play is based on the true story of a woman who lived in England, and in the 70s, her name was Rosemary Dunn, and in the 70s she became very well known for channeling the work of dead composers. Dead composers, you know, like Beethoven, like big time dead composers. And she actually had quite a lot of publicity around this. She had several recordings with major orchestras, and she was a guest on BBC several times. And it's a wonderful story, and since I'm always on the lookout for pieces that might potentially have a role for a middle-aged woman who plays piano. This is a good one.
And it will indeed be starring our own Amy Herzberg.
On to the second play.
Well, our second play is one of those plays that was love at first sight. About 2.5 years ago, I went to a new play festival, like our own Arkansas New Play Festival, at Steppenwolf in Chicago, and there was a stage reading of a new play called 4,000 Miles by Amy Herzog, and not Amy Herzberg, Amy Herzog. And I thought it was absolutely brilliant and fell in love with it immediately, and just secretly thought, we're doing this play as soon as the rights become available. Sure enough, the next year it hit New York. It was an instant darling of the critics in New York. It won the Obie Award, which is the Off-Broadway Award for Best New Play in 2012. And now we're doing it. It tells the story of a 21-year-old college dropout who has just ridden his bike 4,000 miles across the country and arrives at the doorstep of his 91-year-old grandma in the West Village in New York City. And it's really the story of this kind of bumpy, really lovely relationship between these two people who have a kind of outsidery relationship to the world, and what happens to the two of them. The next play is one that we've been talking about doing since we talked about starting this theater company. It is one of the most theatrical plays ever written, stories ever written. It's a perennial favorite in regional theaters, and there's a reason for that. It's got magic. It has a protagonist who really struggles for his life against 3 ghosts, as it turns out.
Do you have any guesses?
It'll be shown in December.
We are really delighted to bring you the TheatreSquared adaptation of A Christmas Carol next December.
And the next show is set in the present day in South Boston. And it's a play that we have come to love, and so have audiences across the country over the last year. It won the 2011 New York Drama Critics Circle Award for Best New Play of the Season just 2 years ago. And we're excited to be producing Good People by David Lindsay of Bear. It's a beautiful play about a woman. At the beginning of the play, she loses her dog in the dollar store, loses it to this really young manager who she knew as a kid, you know. And she kind of swallows her pride. She looks up an old boyfriend who's done really well. Become a doctor, and now he lives in Chestnut Hill. It's a really nice part of Boston. Not the neighborhood they grew up in. And she goes to him, saying, you know, what can you do for me? Is there any way you can help me find a job? I need this. And it being a great drama, not everything goes as planned. You know, there's old secrets that come up from the past, maybe a little blackmail involved. It's a very poignant play, and it's also very funny. Again, I think this is probably one of 2 plays in the season that are kind of in the vein of Sons of the Prophet, which we did this year. It's part of why we decided to do a 5-play season. We were looking at good people, and we were looking at 4,000 Miles, and we're like, yeah, we have to do them both. And so we are. Finally, for those of you who may have heard rumors about it, it is in fact true. TheatreSquared is doing its first main stage Shakespeare production. And why do any other show for our first show but Hamlet, the 5th play. It's a play about murder, it's a play about love and frustrated love, it's philosophy. It's got some of the most beautiful language and most beautiful lines that you've probably ever heard. Many of which you know and you don't know you know. It's beautiful, and we just don't see enough Shakespeare around here, and we're happy to bring it to the stage at TheatreSquared.
Fantastic.
Yeah, thank you.
So that's season 8, ladies and gentlemen.
There it is.